Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to today's market colors session. All right, welcome back. Good morning and welcome to today's market colors session. I'm going to be taking the first half of today's analysis, which will be covering commodity currencies, after which we're going to take a look at indices as well. I see a couple of us online. Good morning, Mr. David. Good morning, Mr. Innocent, Mr. Ayor, Mr. Isaac, Mr. Ade Samuel, Mr. Ayuba, Mr. Destiny, everyone, good morning, good morning, good morning. So good to have every one of you here. So let us start today's analysis looking at AUD USD. All right, so we're going to take a quick look at the monthly time frame first, just to see what price is currently doing, right? So we're looking at structure. Overall, you can tell that this has been breaking consecutively to the downside. It's been this way for a while. But let's go to a time frame that gives us a bigger picture. But before then, we also want to look at this particular time frame and see if there are certain levels we can mark out, bigger perspective picture. It's going to take a while before it gets there, but it doesn't hurt, right? So I'm looking at M1 now. And what I'm seeing here was when price was buying, kept buying for a while, and we had our first change of character, which happened somewhere around this zone. We already marked out these levels, I believe, in our last analysis. In fact, the buy we had marked out from last week delivered. It was a sell to buy and it delivered accordingly. It's very, very precise, which is amazing to see, right? Okay, so I'm now looking at this zone where we had a change of character and a confirmatory breakout structure. We also happens to look like it is currently around a supply zone. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out that particular level. You can see the other block in between. There's a bit of choppiness, so I'm going to draw everything out. This now becomes my point of interest that I'm looking at price eventually trading into. On the lower perspective now, you'd see that price was buying. We had a change of character here, but it did not give us a confirmatory breakout structure. So price came back here, gave us a higher low, higher high, failed to give us an higher high. So there was some sort of change of character and a confirmatory breakout structure somewhere around this level. But let's go on the weekly for more data. On the weekly time frame now, which is where we determine our overall trend, you see that we've been having consecutive lower lows and lower highs being formed. I'm looking at a support level down here that price could eventually trade into. This is a support zone that I have my eyes on. So I'll go ahead and mark that out. Then I'm going to mark out points of interest on the upside and the downside, right? So you can see that some drawings already on the chart. Price was buying, gave us the zone, failed to give us a higher high. A change of character happened around the zone. The confirmatory breakout structure occurred, but already this zone has already been tapped into. You can see price returned into that level and it sold. So let us see, is there any more entry for us? You can see that's why it came back down to most recent price action. Price looked like it was going to start giving higher highs. This was in a range for a while. It broke to the upside, but then broke back down below. A change of character occurred around this level. Something like a breakout structure here, you'd see clearly on lower time frames happen here, hence why we draw this one. But also on the downside, let's just go to daily time frame and see if we have more data, because the weekly seems a bit choppy. So on the daily time frame, what data is saying, the change of character and the confirmatory breakout structure around here. And you can see how price returned into this zone. This is also, it's looking like a flip zone. We had a support level around this point that became resistance. And I'm sure if we go down to lower time frames, you'll find an order block around this zone. So price tapped into that level and it sold. Now, remember, I am always looking for points of interest on both sides, to the up and to the downside, right? So I'm now marking this zone because if price was going to keep selling, we shouldn't have seen a change of character. Instead, price broke above this zone. So this was our change of character. It ranged for a while, but then we saw it eventually break out. So this was our confirmatory breakout structure. and I drew out the zone. This was where the buy got triggered from our last analysis last week, where the buy triggered from. I'll zoom in so you can see traded into that level and then give us this buy. This is the daily time frame, so it's a lot of data. Now we're now looking at this price traded into a point of interest on the upside, tapped in, and then looking like it's sold back into our next point of interest, and it is reacting. However, we do have another point of interest here, so go to 4-hour time frame, and you can see that this level that we marked out from, I'm currently in the sell of AUD USD, but this level where we marked out this particular zone is where we saw price kept buying, a change of character and a confirmatory break of structure, which happened to be around a supply level, is where price currently is now, and we're looking at sales. So right now for this session, what my major bias is to see AUD USD sell into the zone. And if it does sell into the zone, then we may see reactions. So one of two things always happens in the market, right? It's either it sells down here and then it bounces back from this zone to the upside, eventually break through this level and start to buy, or it's going to sell here and then eventually violate these zones and continue its move to the downside. But for now, my bias on AUD USD is a sell, give us this day our daily bread. My daily bread perspective is to the downside, but I'm watching to see how this plays out. If price comes and takes me out, because my stop loss is quite tight, if price comes out and takes me out from this zone, then my next point of interest is going to be here to attempt another. And if the both of them get violated, then to be sign that we're seeing a shift. Of course, fundamentals also play a part in our technical analysis. So I also have that in mind. I'm not just relying on technicals alone. All right, so this is my perspective on AUD USD. Let's go to the 1-hour time frame for a clearer picture. You can see this was a change of character and the break of structure that we had marked out. You see how this is multiple resistance zones. Price has tapped into this a couple of times and reacted. So is it possible to see this give us another final sell? It is. Is it going to bounce or break above? Likely it is a game of probability, but following our data, this is what we're looking at. Except fundamentals play a different role. I'm seeing AUD USD to the downside. Even if we go ahead and use our Fibonacci retracement tool, from the H1, you see that price is currently at a good enough zone, which is price tapped from 61.8, came sold, reversed. It didn't tap into 61.8 properly this time. So I'm going to say it tapped into 50%, and the 50% Fibonacci level looks like what is currently holding. So I'm looking to see if there's going to be a sell into this zone before the Fibonacci 2 gets violated. So the downside, I'll be taking my profit. Is this clear, please? Do you understand what I just spoke on before we proceed? If not, please tell me. Kindly type in the chat box so that I can, read it and then eventually answer instead of speaking out. Thank you. But is this clear? Is this clear? Are we together? Was that information passed across effectively? Do we now know what we're looking out for on AUD USD? All right, thank you so much. Pardon me, my voice is going through it right now. All right, thank you, Mr. Yoba. For NZD USD now, NZD USD, you'd see that price has, this is looking like a downward structure predominantly, but I'm going to go ahead and mark out this zone. This is the monthly time frame. So anything that left two candles right by side by side of each other like this was a strong support level on the lower time frames. So I'm going to mark that out and leave it there for future purpose. And I'm going to mark out my point of interest on the upside and the downside. So here, price was buying, came here, higher high, but failed to give us a higher low. And instead, we saw a change of character around this zone and a confirmatory break of structure. However, this confirmatory break of structure now, it has already been respected. We had a couple of resistance points that price eventually retraced into and it dropped. So I'm going to be looking at most recent price action now, right? Most recent price action is now this, but we don't have enough data to mark out our change of characters and break of structure. So because of that, let's go to the weekly. We'll keep going, fine-tuning to lower time frames to be able to mark out these zones without forcing ourselves to see what might not be there. So on the weekly time frame, what is our structure? What is the trend to the downside? Ideally, you always want to be in sync with the trend, right? So if this is to the downside, look at this. This was this is a strong support zone. This is a strong support zone. Look at that, price tapped into that level 3 times and bounced back up. So we may see a sell down that will come and clear liquidity because there's a lot of liquidity residing. But this is weekly time frame, so it's a bit far. Let us now look at most recent price movement. Price was buying, came here, and then we saw a change of character to the downside and a confirmatory break of structure somewhere around this zone. And this is it, but price did not fully tap into what would have preferred. This is our order block. You can see it all the way up here. Our order block was here. Price did not tap into that zone fully. And if we were waiting for that zone to get tapped into, we most likely would have missed this sell that happened. But let's now look at what price is currently doing. It's still, when price came here, it seemed like it was going to start forming a new trend, but it failed to take out this zone. Instead, we had an equal high, and then price eventually tapped back down. Now, price came here, we saw a change of character, no confirmatory break of structure around this zone. I'm going to go on lower time frame, but before I do, let us look at this. If we're going to flip this entire thing, this is the monthly time frame. Let's go to the daily for a clearer picture. This now becomes our new swing, right? Point A to point B. Where is price currently at? Price is currently at a 61.8% fib level. So you see that there's an extra confluence for NZD USD to sell a bit downward. But go ahead and delete that so our chart does not get too noisy. On the daily time frame now, right? The break of structures are clearer, but I'm still going to fine tune to a lower time frame to get a better picture, and that's H4. On the H4, what am I doing? Look at this. Look at this. Price was buying, came here, gave us another high. Price came and it broke or changed character somewhere around this zone, because this ought to have given us an even higher high. And then we saw a confirmatory break of structure here. And this auto block right here will now be our point of interest. For price did not fully get there, but since it has not been tapped into, it is still valid. So when price eventually returns into that zone in future, there's a possibility that it is going to sell, right? Having that in mind, I'm also going to still mark out the other break of structures that happen to have resistance zones around them. They happen to have resistance zones around them. So look at this, another break of structure, but there's not much. Okay, there is. This is why price tapped from here, it's sold. So looking at this now, let me look at what price is currently doing around this zone. You'll see that there is change of character and the break of structure. And another block which price is currently reacting off of. Right? So price returned into this and it looks like it is currently reacting from that zone. So if this is going to keep selling, where is the most likely area where it is going to sell into? Because it is also important to know, right? Let's go to 1 hour time frame and see if we're going to see that clearly. If we're going to use this time frame, however, we may have to zoom out so to see it clearly. So you can see there was a change of character around here and a break of structure around this zone. This now being our point of interest. Price did not really do much around this level. So instead, what I'm going to do is now look at the end of this Fibonacci swing as my take profit zone. So right here, I want to sell NZD USD till it gets into this particular level. And if price breaks below, then we're seeing more downward moves for this asset class. If not, then we know reverse is the case. It is always important to be flexible in the market. Always important to be flexible in the market. Okay. Of course, there's no name user. Of course, that's why I said, sir. So you'd also keep your eye out on fundamentals, of course. Those are the movers of the market and not just technicals. I stated that. So for USD CAD now on the monthly time frame, price is buying. Weekly time frame as well. Same thing we're looking at here. This is buying, price ranged a bit, eventually broke above, but overall, bias on the weekly time frame is an uptrend, right? Okay, go ahead and delete some of this from the chart. So what are we now looking out for? you can see that price was buying, but when price came here, instead of giving us a higher high, there was a change of character. There was a change of character and a confirmatory break of structure. Not so clear here, but when we go on lower time frame, like the daily, we see this was a clear break of structure around this zone. And right around here, this is a resistance level because of the multiple rejections that happened around that particular zone. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out this level, betting that the next time price returns in here, we should see reactions to the downside, right? On the 4-hour time frame, this is the point of interest we have marked out. So I'm going to mark out another POI on the downside so that when price eventually trades back in here, it's going to be trading back into a zone. So looking at this now, this is a change of character. Break of structure, a lot of choppiness, but you can see the other block here. Can we all see what I'm saying? Do you see this doji candle right here? We can all see it, right? And this is where price is. So is this level going to hold for USD CAD to buy back into this zone, or is it going to be violated? We'll be watching. On the 1-hour time frame, now, what are we seeing? So price it's going through a lot of struggles, but overall still moving to the upside. Price is currently at a zone that we've marked out. So we're waiting to see if this zone gets violated, then where is the next likely area it is going to trade into? Looking at the 1 hour now, you see that we have another point of interest. This is what we have here. This is pure market structure that we're just trying to follow, pure market structure. So we're looking at this. And also see this looks like some sort of shoulder break below, sweep and a return. So if price eventually returns into this particular level, it might hold. So this is what we're watching out for. If this level does not hold, this is the next point of interest that we have in mind. So our time is quite spent. Let me see if I have more questions. Yes, Mr. Silas. So our perspective on AU is more from the H4 time frame. We got that perspective from the H4 time frame. So when using market structure, the zones from higher time frames tend to be stronger, H4, D1, and above, right? So those guys they hold more than H1. H1 is also considered higher time frame sometimes, but they change more often than H4 does. I hope that's clear, sir. Please, do we have any questions? Let's quickly look at Forex Factory to see what high impact news release we have coming out today. But do we have any questions? Kindly type in the chat box. Today is the 22nd, that is Tuesday. Our interest is going to be on dollar correlated pairs and commodity currencies correlated. So for AUD, monetary policy meetings, this is medium impact coming out by, this is 2:30 a.m. I'm going to refresh this. Has it come out already? Let us see. So we're watching out for this to come out and we'll see what it does. And then we also have Fed Chair Powell speaking, also medium impact. So it should have some impact on the chart. So to understand what this could represent, always click on this document icon that is here. So what we're looking out for now is to see what he says. More hawkish than expected is good for currency. What does that mean? Since he's speaking on the dollar, if he gives us a hawkish stance, then we should see strength going into the dollar. If you see strength going into the dollar, then it also gives you an insight into what should happen on these dollar correlated pairs. So if we're more on the stronger side for DXY, then our AUD USD sell and NZD USD sell will now have extra confluence. But if we now see the opposite, then of course we'd also want to watch out to see what is happening. Not saying that whatever DXY is doing one thing, NZD USD must be doing the other. Sometimes you see them moving in the same direction, right? Because not just does the DXY affect the chart, it also has another base currency that also affects it, which is the other ones that they are affected by. Okay, sorry. You can even use M15 for entry, Mr. Any. You can also use M15 for entry, but H1 is where we're stopping because that's where we see price eventually returning into. We would have gone to M15 to look for more entries, but because price has not traded into that zone, we cannot now say we want to fine tune on the lower time frames. Do you understand, sir? Okay, do we have any more questions coming out? For those of us who really want to follow fundamental news releases, the platform I always recommend is Forex Live. Forex Live gives you a very detailed breakdown of what we're looking at. Because of time, my time is even fast spent. Would have touched on fundamentals to see what is coming out and how would cause more impact on the chart. But time is fast spent, and we have another asset class to look at. It's almost 9 a.m., right? So after this, please go on Forex Live. Why does it keep bringing Investing Live? Go on forexlive.com and read on more fundamental news releases, understand how it works, see the breakdown. So that page is currently not opening up, but when it eventually does, you know what to do. Okay, thank you so much for your time and for your engagement. User, so what's your name, please? So I know what name to be calling you instead of user. Are we still together, sir? The person who
My
asked.
name is Isaac.
Isaac. Okay, perfect. Are we together, Mr. Isaac?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much for joining and also engaging. It definitely makes the session better instead of me just talking to myself. So please do also engage more often. We really appreciate that. To not waste too much more of our time so we can get more value from indices, we're going to be going on a very short break to return and look at what we have in store for US30, NAS 100, and any other asset class my colleague might be looking at today. Once again, thank you, cheers, and God bless. Have a profitable trading day. Bye.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the second part of this market color session. Our time is fast spent this morning, just some minutes to 9, which is our closing time, but then we'll look at the markets together quickly and then some of the important things happening in US equity. We'll look at that also, and we'll wrap it up. All right. So let me share my screen, and so it's been an interesting ride so far on US30 and the entire US equity market. Actually, last week we had some talks around the US equity markets, and we concluded last week that our bias was a bit neutral on the fundamental side of things because we saw US 100, we are seeing buy opportunities on US 100, right? And we're seeing sell on US30, right? And it was so conflicting. We had S&P 500 in the middle, not buying, not selling. So it was a bit confusing and conflicting. And that made us not to even take any position last week. If you remember, for those that are around on Thursday, last week Thursday, we stated clearly that the market is a bit conflicting. But now we're beginning to see that correlation back again in the markets. On the daily time frame, let's start with US30. On the daily time frame, we can see that US30 is still yet to clear its own previous all-time high, which I believe clearly it's going to do, right? It's clear going to do that very, very soon. Very, very soon. I believe this is also a way waiting for August 1st to come before we see that movement to the upside. But then eventually we should see that happening. Then let's come to intraday trade. What is happening on the 4-hour time frame? The 4-hour time frame, as at last week, we're breaking structure to the downside. But this week, so far so good. We have not broken any, what's it called now? Low, right? We've not broken any low recently. Instead, what have we done? We've broken kind of like a eye to the upside, right? And what do I mean? Broken this eye to the upside. So the market is still, technically speaking, we are still in that range, right? Because overall, there has to be a breakout of the zone. But I know before we see the breakout of the zone, we'll most likely see, we'll most likely see minor structure to the upside, and then we can join with that. Right? All right. So that being said, what will I be looking for this morning? And my bias is a bit on the upside, right, for the buy. So I'll be looking at how, structure is going to react from some levels. Other block and everything. Other block, already know how we trade this. Other block and fair value gap. This area of interest look interesting to me. I will be watching out for this, and even this entire zone, right? If for any reason price does not break, we don't see a violation of this other block before New York markets open, then we should see that rally to the upside, right? We should see that rally significantly to the upside. Before market open, New York markets open, if price is still ranging around here, even when we are approaching New York market open, then we should see that rally to the upside, because usually what happens is the market, drags a bit till when the market is about to open, when the New York market is about to open, then we'll now see that bullish run to the upside. So for today, this is what I'll be looking out for, and then my overall take profit will be just a clear of this liquidity above here. And we still have like the overall, which is still far, this line above here that we've marked since, but then this one is still far, right? But then it can happen because this is US equity. It moves, the volumes are really, really wide sometimes, right? Usually. So this is what I'll be looking at for today. I have two areas of interest, this first one and the second one. And then to better refine my entry box strategy on the lower time frame, the M5, M3, that will give you more precision in terms of risk to reward also. So that's what I'm looking at for today. And one of the reasons I'm in a way looking out for this is because of what's it called now? Sorry, we're back. Because of the correlation on higher time frame. Let me put it on 4-hour time frame so we can see what I'm trying to say. On higher time frame, look at what we have on US30, right? Look at what we have on US30. However, US100, you can see structure has broken to the upside. S&P 500, the same thing, structure has broken to the upside. Meaning, and okay, come back to US30. Look at where we are. Meaning, US100 has rallied, S&P 500 has rallied. US30 will also do what? Most likely 80%, 90% what? Also rally to the upside, right? So that's like correlation. And today, the correlation it's in tandem. It's giving what it should give, technical wise, right? So US30 we are yet to see the rally on US30. However, US100, we've seen that rally. S&P 500, we've seen that rally significantly. What do we expect? At least 100 pips, 150 at all, right? We should see those pips movement to the upside. So that is one of the reasons why I am looking forward to buy this market this morning, right? Also on US100, not much to do there. Just try as much as possible to make this analysis very, very, brief. All right. On US 100, what do we have here? On US 100, structure is bullish to the upside. Unlike US30, we have a clear bullish structure to the upside. So what will I be looking at for today? In terms of trades, I want to see how this zone holds before New York market open. It's a long time, but I mean, if for any reason we just dance around here, we keep dancing and then nothing significant in terms of violating this other block, then by 2:30 and 3 o'clock New York market open, we should see that bullish rally to the upside, right? Because everything is confirmed here. A sweep of this zone, a break to the upside, you have an order block, and then price is currently at that zone. So I want to see how price will just keep stalling here towards New York market open, so that by that time we'll just get to enter the market and then follow the rally to the upside, right? So this is what we have on US 100 this morning, and then we have other area of interest. Let me put it on 2 hours if I can see them properly. Other area of interest, other areas of interest that are quite significant. Okay, just below here will be a good one too. Just below here will be a good one, this entire zone, right? For me to continue the buy to the upside, because all of them, they are pointers to being bullish this morning. All right, guys, not to keep us long on this call. It's supposed to finish by 9, but this is 9:02 already. Let me know if you have any question. These are the areas I'm looking at for today. I'm bullish on the US equity markets this morning, right? On Tuesday, I'm very, very much bullish. Do we have any question as regards this market? We've explained so far, so good, right? Do we have any question? Also on S&P 500, is the same thing with US 100. So that's why I'm not even going to dabble into the analysis. But then one of the major things I am very big on this morning is the buy on US30. I want to see that happen, right? Because once that happens, for that to happen, our US 100 has rally, S&P 500 has rally, then we're now waiting for the same rally on US 30. It's just like GU has moved and we're waiting for EU to move. Most likely it's going to move, right? Especially when they are in tight correlation. All right. Thank you so much for joining. I see there's no question at all in the comment section. We'll be reconvened by 2 p.m. to just discuss this. I believe we'll have gotten a bit of more data, right? Price action and other things to support our buyers. And if the market has changed significantly, we don't control this market. The best we can do is to use tools available in our disposal to, make informed decisions. So if anything has changed, we're going to, discuss that during the New York market session. All right. Thank you so much for joining this morning. I wish you a profitable trading today. Cheers and God bless, guys.